In this video, we'll learn how to contribute to Postman's Quickstarts. If you have a learning module that you want to contribute, you'll learn how to create that module, edit, and publish it. If you're already familiar with how to install dependencies, spin up applications locally, and submit pull requests, you can skip to the specific sections of the video that you're interested in. Otherwise, stick around, we'll walk through it together, it won't take long. So this is the Postman Quickstarts site. You can browse through it here. Let's go over to the GitHub repository where all the source code for that website is, and scroll down to the bottom with the README documentation. So you can read through what are Postman Quickstarts and what's so special about the Quickstart format, but let's skip directly to the Getting Started section. Prerequisites. The first things that you'll need is you'll need Node and Go installed on your machine. I already have them installed on my machine, so I won't do that here, but if you have Homebrew, you can just copy and paste this command into your command line. And if you don't prefer to use Homebrew, you can click through to find the other installation and download methods. But again, I already have both Node and Go installed on my machine, so I won't do that. However, I will need to install the Gulp CLI. So let's move this over to the left. So this is a Node package that is going to help us with our front-end development. So I'm just going to npm install globally gulp CLI. And the other thing that we'll need is to go install clat. This is, sorry if the lights are flickering, there's a storm in my neighborhood and the power is going in and out. But lucky you, I'm still going. So you'll need to install this Go library, clat, CodeLab, as a thing. This is going to be the program that exports your markdown files that you'll be writing into HTML so it can be rendered on the website. All right, and the last prerequisite is optional, but I highly recommend it. You should install this plugin for Chrome. So let's see what that looks like. Again, I already have this installed, but this is going to help with hot reloading. So when you're making changes in your code, you won't have to then go back and reload the page. And so the extension that I already have installed is here. So once we have our server running, we will enable that extension, that plugin, so that we won't need to constantly refresh the page to see our changes. Okay, so let's close that. And so that's all the prerequisites. You need Node, Go, you need those two libraries, Gulp CLI and clat, and highly recommended to install the Chrome plugin called Live Reload for hot reloading. All right, already on to the next step, to run locally. So we're going to fork this repository to your personal GitHub account so you can make changes and then submit a pull request back to the main account. So the first thing that we'll do is go to the top right of this web page and fork it. So let's make this a little bit bigger. So you will fork this copy to your own, select your own personal, so this is actually where it's located, but you'll select your own personal account and then complete the fork, create it to your own account. And so once you do that, you'll see your name here, your GitHub handle /pm.quickstarts. So this is the main repository that we're working on. It's at loopdelicious/pm_quickstarts, but yours will be at your GitHub username /pm_quickstarts once you fork it to your own account. Okay, let's go back down to the next step. The next step is to clone our new fork to our local development environment, to our machine. And it's going to be git clone this URL where your username, your account name will be here. So on your site, let's go back to the top, you can go under this code button and then make sure it's configured to either HTTPS or SSH. I have mine configured to SSH. It'll be git clone this link. Now let's move back over to our terminal. Scroll down and see what the next step is. Okay, so we will git clone that link. And again, you'll have your GitHub handle right here where it says Loop Delicious on mine. We're cloning. And I actually have already cloned before, but yours will actually go through a couple steps. It'll take a little bit. And then once you've cloned it, you'll navigate to the site directory by changing into pm quickstarts/site. So let's type in that command. And now we're in site. So what we can do here is just take a peek at what's inside this folder, this directory called /site, and we can see a bunch of, here's another README, here's an app directory, some additional things. Here's a package.json, which will list our dependencies. And so let's go ahead and install those node dependencies using this next command here. npm install. This is going to read that package.json and install all those local dependencies that we'll need to be working on our quick starts. And we're already down to the last step, run the site, npm run serve. This is going to run that serve script. Gulp serve. You can see the command line building all of our modules. This should be pretty quick in there. It looks like it's finished. So if we go to localhost 8000, port 8000, you can see it's formatted a little weird because it's in a, so here, this is the Postman, this tab was the Postman Quickstarts that's deployed on the cloud domain, but now we have this one running on your local host, your machine, port 8000, and it looks just like the one that's been deployed. And now we can make changes, review our changes, and then do quicker development. If you don't have your application running locally, do not worry. Not everyone's machine is set up the exact same way, so take a look at this section called Common Errors and step through some of these troubleshooting tips. Once you have your application running on localhost port 8000, you're ready to write your first quick start. So we'll terminate the running server and then navigate to the PM guide source directory, and in that directory we'll see our existing guides and markdown files. So let's see what that looks like. We'll move this over to the side. Okay, so we'll terminate our running server, and then we'll change into the PM guides /src directory and take a look at our existing guides. Now I'm going to open this in VS Code. You're welcome to use whichever text editor or IDE you prefer, but I'm opening this here in VS Code. And this is what our subdirectory looks like. We see a couple subfolders that are preceded with an underscore. This is going to be the utilities that are running behind the scenes and some shared assets. Let's keep scrolling, and we get to 15 days of Postman, 15 days of Postman French edition, 30 days of Postman, and so forth. So I think we're ready to create our first guide. So let's generate a new guide from the guide template using this command, npm run template guide name. We're not going to be using any spaces. We'll be using underscores to separate the words in the name of our guide. So in VS Code, I'm going to open up another terminal. This is the exact same terminal as we saw previously, but it's just in VS Code so we can have it on the same page. Okay, so it says npm run template guide name. Okay, so it's pretty quick. So I created a guide called elephant_demo, and the markdown file is created, and we see it right here. So let's take a look at this directory. We have shared assets. This is shared across all templates. So if you ever want to use the Postman run in Postman button, you'll be able to point to it using a relative path from your markdown file. You might not need a run in Postman button. However, you probably will need screenshots or other kind of images or really sick memes. So this is where you're going to host or contain your images so that, again, you can point to the images with a relative path from this MD file. What does this MD file look like? Let's look. Okay, so we can see some metadata at the very beginning. You'll want to make sure you update the summary, the categories, and the tags so that Postman can index your content properly. And the first thing we see is this H1 header. This is the markdown syntax for a really big header. And this is going to be the name of our module. I don't know why I said elephant. Let's just say how to train an elephant. I'm going to tell people how to train an elephant is going to be the name of our module. And let's just hit save and see what this looks like before we make any other edits to our module. Okay, so the next thing we'll do is navigate to the newly generated guide and edit our guide. We already did that. We didn't use the command line. We just navigated to that newly created template in VS Code. The next thing we'll do is run the website again. So npm run serve. I'll run it here. So again, the site is building with our new module. It shouldn't take very long. And already it's finished. So let's navigate back over to localhost. Okay, so this is localhost 8000. At this point, now that we're in active front-end development, you'll want to make sure your live reload plugin is connected if you're using that. It's a little bit hard to see here probably, but it'll be an open dot if it's not connected and a closed dot if it is, or you can just hover over it to see the tooltip. And if we scroll down, we can see Joyce's amazing demo. Let's hit refresh. Okay, so the first time you do this, you might need to clear your cache and do a hard refresh. But now that we have our live reload toggled on, you can see how to train an elephant is right here. So let's dig in. And maybe we can see this slightly side by side. Sorry if this is hard to see, but this H1 header, again, this is the markdown syntax for H1, how to train an elephant corresponds to the name that we just saw on the homepage of the Quickstarts running locally. And then every step that's listed here on the left sidebar is going to be represented by an H2 header, overview. So if I don't like the way overview is named, I can call this pre-requisites or something and hit save. And you can see the site is rebuilding and immediately we see our changes here. So let's add a new step. Between prerequisites and metadata configuration, maybe let's scroll down to metadata configuration right here. Again, we see the H2. Let's create another step called, what would an elephant do? Feed the elephant. Okay, hit save. We see the site rebuilding and immediately we have our second step here. If you're not familiar with Markdown, again, don't worry, it's one of the more luxurious parts of creating your module. You should be able to look through the rest of this guide to see examples of how you can format. Here's an unordered list, bold, probably saw some hyperlinks, here's a code block, and so forth. So oh, there's the run and Postman button. That's probably pointing to our shared asset right there. So if you're not familiar with Markdown, take a look at some examples for some inspiration as well as how to. Next, let's talk about how to submit a pull request. Once you're done editing your module, how do you get this added to quickstarts.postman.com? Let's go back to our GitHub repository. We just wrote our first quick start. Now, how do you get the Postman Quickstart on quickstarts.postman.com? We've already done several of these steps. We've forked the repository, we've cloned it to our local system, and we skipped number 3 and we've already made our changes. So let's go back and make a new branch. I'm going to say git checkout-b feature branch. So now you can see I'm on feature branch. The next thing we'll need to do is commit our changes and push it back to our repository. There's many ways to do this, so feel free to go along the way that you'd normally follow. But I'm in VS Code and there's this plugin here for my source control. And I can see that I have 3 changes. This is going to be the markdown file that I've been editing, that I generated and then I edited. And then there's also the generated assets. So this is the run and Postman button and our sample JPEG. If you have a bunch more screenshots or internet memes, you might have a bunch more changes to commit and push. So the first thing we'll do is stage our changes. And in VS Code, you can hit this plus button. And once you stage it, you can commit it. So let's add a commit message. We are adding training elephant module, and we can commit our changes. Okay, so once we commit our changes, we're going to push this back to our repository. So from our clone, we're going to push these changes, our committed changes, back to our own repository, our own remote, and then we'll open up a pull request to the main repository requesting that the main repository pull in our changes. So let's go ahead and git push origin. We called this feature branch. We're pushing our changes from our clone to our fork. And now let's go back. So this part might be a little confusing because unfortunately for this example, I'm actually, I didn't fork from a separate repository. This is all done in the same repository. I'll tell you where it'll look slightly different for you, however. So I'm here in GitHub, and if I scroll to the top, you should see on your own instance, so you should see your own GitHub handle here, /PM Quickstarts. This is your fork. You should see a toast that says your feature branch, or whatever you called the branch that you just created, has recent pushes. And then you'll compare and open up a pull request. And again, this screen is going to look slightly different too. So I'm on the main repo, but yours will be on your own fork. So you want the base repository to look like loopdelicious /PM Quickstarts with the base master. So the base should point to loopdelicious. The head repository should be your own fork. So this should be your GitHub personal handle /PM Quickstarts comparing against that branch that you just created. So let me see what it looks like when I switch over to loopdelicious. So yours might look slightly different. You might see a green button. You might see a slightly different configuration. And you'll want to, this is our commit message from earlier, but I can say, please review this great learning module. So whatever you want to put there, once you create a pull request, this will notify the project maintainers that it's ready to be merged. And at that point, it might be automatically merged if it passes the review, or you might receive some notification to make some updates. So that's how you can create your own. You can write, edit, and create your own learning module, and then you'll submit it to the quickstarts.postman.com by opening up a pull request. I look forward to seeing what kind of modules you'll be creating next.